So I came to Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania, and it said it's only open Saturday and Sunday, but they just happened to be doing one tour today, so I'm able to get in, and I'm kind of excited. I've been wanting to come here, and they kind of told us to avoid the school groups, so I'm trying to. They're down in the Indian village area over there right now, and I'm heading up towards 1770s cabin. Just killing time for about an hour, maybe about 40 minutes now, and then we're going over to the rock shelter. So I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to record in the rock shelter itself, but the grounds here are pretty cool. They got a little atlatl spear throwing event with little kids throwing the spear at elk. Yeah, an elk decoy. They also have like showing off furs to the kids and a couple little wigwams. But I didn't really see too much over that way because there was so much going on with the kids, and they kind of told me to avoid the school groups. So came over to here in this little picnic area with a cool oven over there. And we're just hanging out.
Okay. We also have the farm implement museum with old wagons. That was cool.
I don't know what that sound means. What am I supposed to do? Is it lunchtime? It sounds like lunchtime. I hear the kids screaming. So I'm assuming during the busy season that they have a lot more actors walking around and playing parts of like farmers or blacksmiths or...
Do they have that at all?
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming it should. I saw some pictures of people dressed in, early colonial. But it's not open. It's not open today. I just happened to get lucky and be able to get in on one tour of the rock shelter. So we're about to go into the rock shelter. I don't know if I'll be able to record in here, so I'll record a little bit on the outside. But right up there is the entrance into the rock shelter.
Hurry. I said take your time, no big hurry. I'm hearing you.
And the creek is down there.
It's a beautiful structure, isn't it? A local architect from Pittsburgh built it. For the other ones to come up and then we'll start.
It's nice and cool in here. Okay.
Interesting. There's little archaeology bags there. So I guess they're not excavating anymore. There's a screen up there. So I'm at Cross Creek Lake. This is the Lake Shore Trail. There's Leia.
Hey.
We just left Meadowcroft Rock Shelter, and that was a little weird coincidence. We just happened to get there, and it was closed, but there was school groups going through that were in there. And there was one other couple that had a tour today. And I got there just in time that they allowed me in. I did get a little bit of video. And the tour guide, and her name was Sheila, was really amazing. She's been working there for 35 years. And she knew a lot of information. And I talked to her a little bit about different things, about the site, about the museum that I volunteered at. And she wanted me to get in touch with the director to see if I could possibly do some flint knapping demonstrations at the rock shelter, which would be really cool. Walking down this trail along Cross Creek Lake. Now, Cross Creek runs right past Meadowcroft Rock Shelter, so we just followed it down to this park. Meadowcroft Rock Shelter is a cave, kind of. It's an overhang that collapsed over the years. And in that cave is different levels of different time periods of people living there that go back as far as, what was the date? 12,500?
Yeah, they dug as deep as 16,000.
They dug as deep as 16,000 years ago, and the earliest human occupation that they found was 12,500, I believe.
All the way up to present evidence of
all the way up to
human use.
Beer cans in a fire pit.
Yep.
I wasn't expecting to be able to see that. I tried last year and it was closed and they wouldn't let me in. This year, for whatever reason, they're like, yeah, come right in. And they were all awesome. Awesome people, friendly people. It's the longest spanning occupation of a site. So meaning from 12,500 years ago, non-stop up to today, with the exception of now it's a museum, so there aren't people camping there anymore. But up to not too long ago, there's been people camping there for 12,500 years at least, which is pretty amazing. In one spot, one campsite. It's the longest spanning occupation of a site. So meaning from 12,500 years ago, non-stop up to today, with the exception of now it's a museum. So there aren't people camping there anymore. But up to not too long ago, there's been people camping there for 12,500 years at least, which is pretty amazing. In one spot, one campsite. But it's I tried to take video to show you the amazing view of the creek and how big the shelter actually was. And just how cozy it seemed in there.
Yeah. Oh man, it was like 10 degrees cooler. It's pretty hot out today.
Yep.
So
I would have
that was really
camped in there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and you got
I would have
nice,
camped in there and I would have stayed there for like a week.
really nice view of the creek. It was beautiful.
So that site was discovered by a groundhog. Apparently in the hole that it dug up, the person who, I guess he owned the land?
Yep.
The person who owned the land, there's some large deer prints right there. Right here. So, the landowner found a groundhog hole, and in the dirt from the hole that it pulled out was chips of flint. So, long story short, it took him 18 years to find an archaeologist that would dig out the site that that a groundhog discovered for him. So he didn't want to tell anybody about the site because he was afraid people would come in. I'm sliding down this hill and loot it and destroy, as he said, pages of history and not be able to get them back. So he didn't tell anybody about this site for 18 years until he found an archaeologist who would be willing to come and do it correctly. I just thought it was really really amazing. So this is pretty cool. There's a big lake here. And there's a creek running into the lake. Okay, so the other thing that I learned from this place was that there was a occupation before Clovis. So it was called, the point that they found was only about this big. And I saw that it had hit something and fractured, and they resharpened to fix it. That point was 12,500 years old, which would be the oldest point on the east coast here. And that was, it was at a very bottom layer of this cave. Now they named the point after the guy who discovered the site from investigating the groundhog hole. Miller. His name was Miller. They were selling t-shirts that said, "My Miller point is older than your Clovis point," which I was like, yes. So Pennsylvania has some seriously nice parks. Everything's really well taken care of.